This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and today is my training camp edition of my 2025 San Francisco 49ers 53-man roster predictions. We are 6 days away from preseason week 1, firmly entrenched into training camp, and we have to predict the roster before we get to preseason week 1 and joint practices this week against the Broncos. We've had about 9 days of training camp to get a good idea as to where the team may shake out, who may make the roster, who could be some surprise cuts, and some key positional battles, and we'll find out who wins those throughout the training camp season as well. But because of those 10 training camp days, I thought, what a great idea to share my preseason, my pre-preseason 53-man roster predictions for the San Francisco 49ers. But first, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Still shooting for 100 audio podcast reviews by week 1 of the regular season. But let's tune in today and let's dive into my 53-man roster predictions. What's up, Dang Fricker, in the YouTube chat? How's it going, Pierce? Hope you're doing good, brother. And then Papa J says, what's up, Sterling? What's up, Papa J? Getting ready to share my 53-man roster predictions right here, right now. Papa J says, I'm about to go to a barbecue with the fam. Just thought I'd pop in and say hello. We'll enjoy the barbecue. Hope it's some ribs, some steak, some brisket, some baked beans. Hope you have a great time. Maybe even some grilled corn too. But have a great day, Papa J, on a Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon now? Man, oh man. Dang Fricker hopping in here saying, I'm going to go dive in and make a splash. Well, wherever you're getting wet, be safe and have some fun. And Papa J says like and subscribe. Let's get into my roster predictions for your and my San Francisco 49ers. And let's start things up at the top because it's a given who this team's starting quarterback is going to be. His name is Brock Purdy. $53 million a year for a reason. He's looked like that type of player in training camp thus far. But behind him, although there isn't much discussion as to who his backup will be, it's going to be Mac Jones. He's making the roster too. But the final spot on the roster, will the San Francisco 49ers keep 2 or 3 quarterbacks this season? I've gone back and forth because Gus Bradley's kid hasn't been good through 2 practices. Tanner Mordecai does not look like an NFL caliber quarterback this year. I would like to lean heavily into only keeping 2 quarterbacks, and I think this may be different if Curtis Rourke was actually healthy and vying for the quarterback 3 job. But I think the way San Francisco has gone about things, they've had a lot of history of losing 2 quarterbacks in the season. Shanahan likes to play things safe. I am going to just right now tentatively say they'll keep 3 quarterbacks on the roster: Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, and Tanner Mordecai, with Curtis Rourke being on the PUP/injured reserve list to begin the season. I think he'll be a complete 1-year injured reserve stash for them. Then in 2026, finally make his way back onto the football field, barring an injury to somebody else during the season. That said, I really do not like the idea of Tanner Mordecai making the team. I don't think he's that good. I think, if anything, he should be a practice squad stash or a practice squad elevation, the emergency quarterback rule they now have because of San Francisco. I think that's a more viable option for him. I don't see teams wanting to claim Mordecai or trade for him or even sign him once he's released. So right now, I'll just say 3 quarterbacks because I don't know what Shanahan's thinking, and we've been burned so many times with injuries at quarterback. I think he'll just keep 3 to make it safe, but the emergency quarterback practice squad elevation is certainly, I think, a very realistic possibility for Tanner Mordecai. Brandon Hollum says Adam Silver has traded Micah Parsons to the Lakers. Honestly, one poverty franchise to the other. No, look, Dallas is Dallas. What a mess that is. My goodness. The Lakers are dysfunctional. They have LeBron and Luka, and they don't know what they're doing with the head coaching stuff. It's all a mess. It just, man, wouldn't that be shocking though? But I'm telling you, if they trade Micah Parsons, they've got to get Jerry Jones out of there. I know he owns the team. You don't let players like Micah Parsons leave this late into the season, August 3rd. What are you doing? Let's Talk Niners says, what's up to all the faithful? What's up? Let's Talk Niners. Hope you're having a great Sunday afternoon. SummerSlam was yesterday. SummerSlam is also tonight. CM Punk got screwed. It was the ruse of the century viewed the way of Seth Rollins. Tonight, it's John Cena, Cody Rhodes. Will The Rock return? I cannot wait, but we have Niner stuff to dive into today. And let's continue with the running back position. Again, San Francisco is very top-heavy this year, trying to re-insulate their depth and strengthen their roster, but the top guy, being Christian McCaffrey, is set in stone. He is safe. He is your RB1 going into the season. And I do think that running back, similar to quarterback, is pretty straightforward. The big question is, who's the RB2 behind Christian McCaffrey? Now, that has become more complicated now that Jordan James has a knee injury and Isaac Guerendo walked off the practice field yesterday holding his shoulder and his arm, but there hasn't been news of how serious that is. Hopefully we'll find out tomorrow, but if those guys are healthy, my assumption is they will both be back by week 1, if not sooner than that, so that is the assumption I'm making here. I think it's Christian McCaffrey, your RB1, Isaac Guerendo, your RB2, Jordan James, your RB3, your inside zone running back, and I think Patrick Taylor Jr. makes the roster as the RB4. You can certainly believe he can be a practice squad player, maybe again be an elevation week by week depending on what you want to do. But I'm going to reserve the practice squad running back role for UDFA Corey Kiner. Now, I think Corey Kiner has looked better as a runner in practice than Patrick Taylor Jr., but Taylor Jr. has the kick return, punt return, special teams versatility on the roster last year. Also a better receiver than Corey Kiner is, so there is that to take into account. But I think all 5 guys make the roster, but Corey Kiner becomes a practice squad player, which I would not be shocked at one point this year he actually isn't signed to the active roster. Grendo's often hurt. James is already hurt. Christian McCaffrey has some injury history, and I think they like Corey Kiner a lot. I don't think he should have been a UDFA. He's a 5th-round running back they got a steal for, so maybe he can pass Patrick Taylor Jr. once preseason games come and go, but right now, straightforward, 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, and a practice squad stash of Corey Kiner. Moving along to fullbacks, again, Kyle Juszczyk. What else is there now? Juszczyk did also get hurt in yesterday's practice, so maybe that's something to look out for. Maybe they plug a tight end there, or they sign somebody else, but if it's not serious, he's the fullback one. A lot of my assumptions are guys that are banged up now are back by week 1 or roster cutdown day, making things a lot more streamlined for us in our 53-man roster predictions in the training camp sessions thus far. But now we get to one of the more complicated running back rooms, because one of the more complicated rooms in the roster, that being wide receiver. Because there's a lot of bodies in there, not a lot of proven ones, but a lot of high potential guys, if you can believe that, or guys that you're hoping can grow in their first year, second year, or as this year progresses in their new system. But I think there are some guys, again, if healthy, make the roster outright. Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing, Jordan Watkins. Then that's where things get tough. Does San Francisco keep 5 receivers, 6 receivers, 7 receivers? I have San Francisco keeping 6 wide receivers on the roster, with in mind Brandon Aiyuk probably going to be on the PUP or IR list to begin the season. And this really depends on what transpires with Demarcus Robinson, because if the NFL doesn't suspend him, I think that does change some things as to how San Francisco deals with the practice squad and what they can do with it. Because if they suspend Robinson, which I think they will, I think that is a clear avenue for Russell Gage to make the roster outright post-roster cutdown day. And I also think with Aiyuk and Robinson off the rosters, or on PUP or IR, or suspended, that also leads to Junior Burgeon making the roster as well. So right now I have Jennings, Pearsall, Cowing, Watkins, Russell Gage, and Junior Burgeon making the roster at the wide receiver position, with Burgeon being kind of the kick return, punt return specialist in the room that Shanahan kind of likes to keep on the back end of the depth chart, and Gage becomes the more reliable veteran, where if Cowing and Watkins, the younger guys, may not be finding their footing, albeit Watkins has looked pretty good through training camp thus far, he will be the reliable vet that Shanahan relies on to kind of be the third receiver in the room if Juwan and Pearsall are both healthy as well. But if Robinson is not suspended, then I think Gage becomes a practice squad stash veteran elevation guy. Again, I don't love that because you risk losing him to some other team that needs a wide receiver, and he may say, I want the playing time elsewhere to prove myself, to actually play, because he's looked really good thus far as a vet. He's a bigger body guy. He can go up and get it. Him and Brock Purdy have been kind of flashing some chemistry during training camp, so it's more complicated. Not that you're begging the league to suspend Robinson because you don't want that. He's a clear better receiver than Cowing, Watkins, Gage, and Burgeon right now. But for the sake of wanting to keep Russell Gage on your roster, at least in the intermediate, you're hoping the NFL can act quickly, which they haven't been. But they can hopefully make a decision soon on Robinson, because it certainly clears things up for what you can do at the wide receiver spot. But 6 receivers making San Francisco's roster: Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing, Jordan Watkins, Russell Gage, and Junior Burgeon, with Brandon Aiyuk on PUP/IR, and Demarcus Robinson likely getting suspended to begin the season. We have some more comments in the YouTube chat. Brandon Hollum once again asks, how do you like Mykel Williams thus far? My thoughts on Mykel have not changed one bit. From the day he was drafted, the pre-draft process, to now. It's all the same thing, right? He is a really strong, long-armed, just bull-rushing edge rusher, pass rusher, whatever you want to call him. He's a good run defender, can set a hard edge, which you really don't see during training camp, but you can see it more during preseason if he plays, and hopefully the ankle is okay to play against the Broncos and whatnot. But the strength is evident. He's a big dude. He is moving guards around, making plays. He has looked faster before he hurt his ankle, so you hope that clears itself up as time progresses. But he'll tell you himself too, I gotta fix or improve my pass rush skill set. He's trying that, he's doing that, but right now, much more comfortable on the interior, so you're probably going to see him in that NASCAR package playing on the inside, where we'll get into defensive line later, but I think that may open a room for San Francisco to kind of play with the interior defensive line, knowing Mykel's probably going to slide inside on third downs. Robbie439 says here, a team running the Shanahan system will likely claim Corey Kiner like the Rams did Cody Schrader. You're not wrong. That is, again, one of my concerns, too, with it. The hope is that you can kind of squeak him by and you're okay, and no one does that, but you're probably right. It certainly is something to watch out for. It just, you don't like losing young talent knowing where San Francisco currently is with their retooling / reconstruction of their roster. So maybe you see Patrick Taylor Jr. get cut and brought back via the practice squad, veteran kind of guy on the roster in that way, and it kind of makes the roster outright. But Shanahan doesn't mind risking losing a player, right? Cut Jarrett Kingston last year, cut Cody Schrader last year too, which kind of shocked us. But just trying to put myself in their shoes and what can make some sense for them. But I do think Corey, kind of like I already said, has been the better running back. But overall, I think Taylor does add more to the roster than kind of will immediately, which you don't know how things could transpire with the injuries the roster has, and running back being one of those positions where if CMC goes down, then it's Guerendo's job, and Guerendo's already hurt again. So you could be totally right, Robbie. I would not be shocked at all.
Your backyard barbecue has some new RSVPs. Just tap Target. With the grill raring to go, your personal shopper is tackling your same-day delivery order at Target.
Babe, so Bob and Lynn are bringing the kids after all.
Pro tip, you can change your same-day order with a quick text to your shopper.
I'll have her add popsicles.
Ooh, and some sidewalk chalk.
Your shopper texts a thumbs up. You text 5 exclamation points and life is good. Text with a personal shopper and get it all delivered ASAP. Just tap Target.
Let's Talk Niners says, everyone, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my boy. He's working hard. Good to see you, 49ers Access. Good to see you too, Let's Talk Niners. Big Brick 84 says Junior Burgeon could be penciled in with the kick/punt return role on special teams. That can also be called upon to fill in as a receiver. Kiner could also be in the same boat, but as a running back. Kiner does not have much special teams versatility, which I do think knocks him, hence why I have Taylor Jr. making the roster over him. But Burgeon, yes. I think they want to keep him again. They've been trying to find the return man. They have McLeod. They had Richie James Jr. They tried Guerendo out last year. They have Cowling, but I think they want Cowling to play more receiver this year. And so I'm hoping Cowling gets healthy to see who can win that job as the punt return, kind of kick return guy. But I think Burgeon makes the roster based on that strength alone, which I don't know we will really see the value of until preseason games start. Haven't so far, so I'm kind of projecting somewhat here, hence why it's a prediction, but I do think you are right. Big Brick also says here they should list Dwelly as fullback 2 and be able to keep an extra tight end on the 53-man roster. I don't think listing players matters too much. I get what you're saying, right? Have Dwelly be the backup. You have 2 or 3, 4, or 5 tight ends, but Dwelly being kind of the guy in between. But I don't know if Ross makes the roster. We'll get to him in a hot second, but the right now, and I'll read it to you right now, because my tight ends for San Francisco, I only have 3 making the roster outright. I have George Kittle, obviously, Luke Farrell, obviously. This last one I'm torn on because it is a 3-man race, in my opinion, between Braden Willis, Jake Tunges, and Ross Dwelly. I do think that they can pass Dwelly through waivers and release him and bring him back via the practice squad. He likes playing in San Francisco. He loves playing with George, knows the offense, and I think could be one of those practice squad elevations or veteran guys on the practice squad. But right now, I do not have Ross on the practice squad or making the roster because I have Braden Willis making the roster. Now, I don't love that. It's not my favorite player, but I do think Shanahan values him on special teams and as a blocking tight end, which he isn't great there either, but I do think you have seen some growth. However, I do think he fits something that Jake Tunges doesn't, that Mason Pline doesn't, right? Pline is not ready. He's a bigger body dude, basketball player. There is some, there's some physical skills you like. Again, bigger body guy, he can move a little bit, but just isn't there just yet as a receiver or as a blocker. And Tungus fits more of the receiving threat role on the offense compared to Willis or Farrell. But I think Willis is a more, although lower tiered, more well-rounded player than Jake Tungus. But again, I don't love that. Maybe this is a Dwelley spot, but I do not have Ross Dwelley making the roster at all. But man, I would not be shocked if he does make the roster. Because again, he just loves George and somehow they love him. But as a fullback too, that could be a way of like, hey, Willis doesn't fit that profile. And if Juice goes down, and he's already hurt now, severity is unknown, but he's already hurt now. Dwelley, I think, fits that role more. But even then you have Luke Farrell now, where Luke Farrell probably fits the Kyle Juszczyk blocking prototype more than Dwelley does. So there is definitely some things to sift through if you are San Francisco. But right now I have it Kittle, Farrell, Willis making the roster. Then I have practice squad guys Mason Pline and Ross Dwelley. Lori Matthews asks here in the YouTube chat, how's it going, Lori? Good to see you. She asks, how bad is the Juice injury? We don't know. We have no idea. Don't know exactly what's even hurt. He just got hurt. There is no news just yet. We're kind of waiting. I think tomorrow Kyle will talk to the media, so we'll get a better idea of what is going on there. Hopefully Juice is back. A lot of times during practice, it's all kind of precautionary stuff. Oh, this hurts. I'm done for the day. Don't risk it. Especially for guys like Kyle Juszczyk and other guys like, Purdy and Bosa and Aiyuk and those guys who, hold that high value kind of, we can't afford to lose you. And you're also a veteran that has nothing to prove. I don't think it's too serious, but you never know. You never know what can happen. Salvin Ahmed for the Colts, he got hip drop tackled in practice and broke his leg, done for the season. First off, why are you doing that during practice? Why are you hip dropping your own teammates? And also, that goes to show anything can happen at any point in time. So I think Juice is okay, but I think it's more precautionary. Let's just not risk you being out further. But we should learn more tomorrow. If Juice practices or if Kyle says anything to the media, hopefully somebody asks. That'd be good. Hopefully somebody asks. Moving along here, though, to the offensive line, because the offensive line is tricky, right? And even as I speak, I'm kind of looking at what I have here, and I'm like, I want to change this. This isn't right. This is wrong. Because I have them keeping 8 offensive linemen. But in my head, I'm like, I would cut Tanner Mordecai today to keep a 9th offensive lineman on the roster, because right now I have it Trent Williams as your left tackle, Ben Barch winning the left guard position out of camp in a Nick Zakelj, Ben Barch kind of position battle, as Shanahan put it himself. Jake Brendel, Dominic Pooney, and Colton McKivitz rounding out your starting 5. Then I have Spencer Burford being your backup left tackle, Nick Zakelj being your backup left guard and center. Then I have Connor Colby, 7th round draft pick, being the backup right guard. And I think right now I'm gonna change stuff. I'm going to cut Tanner Mordecai, and I'm gonna keep Austin Pleasance, because this team needs a backup right tackle. We have learned they are not doing the whole swing tackle stuff this year with Burford. He's playing strictly left tackle. Andre Dillard, who was brought in to be the backup right tackle, has not practiced at all. Maybe this changes once he does come back, but Austin Pleasance has been a no pun intended, a pleasant surprise on the offensive line. Got first team reps yesterday in Colton McKivitz's absence, and has looked pretty good. So I have Williams, Barch, Brendel, Pooney, McKivitz, Burford, Zakelj, Connor Colby, who hasn't been great, but he's a rookie, and so why cut him? Maybe you have Pleasance make the roster over Colby. There's room to maneuver here as well. Then Austin Pleasance making the roster on top. So 9 offensive linemen going to go ahead and cut Tanner Mordecai off my list. So already a quick change we have here about 23 minutes into my predictions, which I made yesterday. So we're already moving things around because of what's going on with the offensive line. I also have Drew Moss, the UDFA that was signed after the draft this year, making the roster as a practice squad player, so some insulation on the practice squad. And if Austin Pleasance makes the 53-man roster, you maybe can get Matt Hennessy in there as a veteran addition to the practice squad as well. But time will tell. I think preseason will be so important. Joint practice is so important as to who the depth is. In previous years, you knew it was Burford and Pooney. Like, you just knew who was the backup guys. It was Jalen Moore. It was McKivitz in previous seasons before he was the starting right tackle. You just knew who the guys were. They were draft picks, high-end draft picks, early day 3 guys. And now it's like 7th rounder, 6th rounder, practice squad, veteran free agent. You don't really know who's making the roster. So it should be fun to watch as time progresses. But Trent Williams, Ben Barch, Jake Brendel, Dominic Pooney, Colton McKivitz, Spencer Burford, Nick Zakel, Connor Colby, and Austin Pleasance are your offensive linemen at this point in time, with Drew Moss and probably Matt Hennessy being signed to the practice squad to maybe give some depth if somebody else goes down. Want to get back to the YouTube chat for 1 second. Kawachipto says here, kind of already talked about this just now, I think they only go to quarterbacks with the emergency quarterback 3 role. We already changed it. We're on the same wavelength, Kawachipto. Cut Mordecai, make him the emergency 3 quarterback, and move along. Keep some insulation. This team has a lot of injury history. If you can fortify and add some depth in key places, and look, you can always find a quarterback 3 or 4. You always can. So Mordecai shouldn't be a hard decision to cut. That's how I'll word that. Let's see here. Lori Matthews asks here in the YouTube chat, I would think having a semi-quality backup quarterback makes it easier to just have 3. I think having Mac Jones being a more proven body, like, don't forget, San Francisco last year had Brandon Allen and Joshua Dobbs and Tanner Mordecai on the practice squad, so Mordecai may be more suited for that. I do think that last year Shanahan liked Brandon Allen so much as the quarterback too, but couldn't afford to lose Joshua Dobbs via cutting him or trading him. And he even played last year at times. So I think this year's different. I think that with Mac Jones back there being way better than Brandon Allen and Joshua Dobbs, in my opinion, it does give them some more comfortability to cut Mordecai and maybe kind of try to work his way back in the practice squad via waivers or after he's passed through waivers. And Matt Hennessy, Big Brick 84 asks, Matt Hennessy's a backup center. I don't know. I think they value Nick Zakel as the backup center, backup left guard for them. And then again, Hennessy being on the practice squad, if someone else goes down, then you have a guy there. But right now, I think having Zakel and Colby, and like Burford's also played left guard, Burford's played right tackle. Like, Burford can move around a lot, and then you have Pleasance that can also do it too. So you have some versatility on the depth spots on the roster with Pleasance, Burford, Colby, and Zakel. So I don't know if they love Hennessy that much. They like him a lot, but again, preseason, that's the big stuff. Going up against other teams' defensive tackles that aren't West and Collins and other guys, but it's going to be a big time to prove themselves. But let's move things along to the defense. But first, I want to remind you, you can use our promo code 49ers Access, 49 ERS ACCESS at SeatGeek.com to save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Go see your San Francisco 49ers this year. Go to a concert. My wife starts school tomorrow. We are celebrating tonight. Her last day of freedom is here. We are crying with summer being over for her, but there's still some time for you. Go to a concert, buy some baseball tickets, buy some NFL tickets. and use that promo code 49ErsAccess, 49ErsAccess, and save yourself $20 off your first purchase. Okay, let's move on to the defensive line. Robert Saleh's defense is getting a makeover. So many new faces in so many new places. A lot of guys that are veterans but maybe aren't good enough. A lot of young guys fighting for roster spots this year. It's certainly fun to see. Really fun to watch. And just has been a pleasure to be a part of, to witness it, because this team looks reinvigorated, and it's good to have a youth movement on defense where this team was old, they were aging, and I know that comes with growing pains to undo those things, cutting players you love and you're bringing in these unproven players you like, but just don't know what you're going to get from them. It's been a fun watch thus far, and I think the defensive line has so many moving pieces, but I do think I tried to put my best foot forward and keep the best guys on the roster. That gives Saleh, one, the star power, but also the versatility to play inside, outside, edge rusher, defensive tackle, and give him the tools necessary to find ways to attack the quarterback in almost every which way possible on the defensive line. First up, Nick Bosa making the roster. Duh, it's going to happen. Why wouldn't it? He's the best defensive player not named Fred Warner on the roster, having a tremendous, monstrous training camp thus far, making the offensive line look pretty bad, is how I'll word that, I guess. Then next up is Alfred Collins. I don't think Alfred Collins, at this point in time, seeing what we're seeing, which may change, mind you, I don't think he's going to start week 1. Again, maybe that changes once preseason games go by and he gets really into the defense and he's back up to speed. But right now, this early, I cannot predict that. He just looks not ready. But he making the roster, second round pick. He should be a building block for this defense going forward. Then I have Kevin Givens, who I think is in a good place probably to start the year. Veteran guy, Saleh knows him, Shanahan knows him, Kocurek knows him. He'll make the roster. Micah Williams makes the roster, obviously, and Bryce Huff makes the roster, clearly being this team's kind of big trade acquisition during the, I guess, break in between OTAs and training camp or whatnot around that time during summer. Then CJ West, probably, if not for Upton Stout, maybe the most impressive defensive rookie thus far through training camp. He'll make the roster. Wouldn't be shocked if he's starting week 1 or soon after that. He's been tremendous. I cannot wait to watch him go against other teams' offensive linemen because he's bullying these dudes in San Francisco's camp all the time. Evan Anderson makes the roster, UDFA last year. Then I have Samuel Kawanu, Yetur Gross-Matos, and Jordan Elliott rounding things out. So what is that? Nick Bosa, Micah Williams, Bryce Huff, Samo, and Yetur Gross-Matos. 5 edge rushers making the roster outright this season at this current point in time, preseason week 1 against the Broncos. And on the interior, I have Alfred Collins, Kevin Givens, CJ West, Evan Anderson, and Jordan Elliott, with Micah Williams having that versatility and Yetur Gross-Matos to go inside if they need to. So a lot of moving pieces. That said, I don't really love keeping Jordan Elliott, but he was brought in to be the run stuffer last year, kind of that bargain bin shopping version of it, and he just wasn't that. So I don't think his job is safe. I think Kalia Davis may be able to make a jump into that conversation. But I think Kalia Davis is more likely or better served on the practice squad, often injured. Probably a guy you can get through waivers if you care about my opinion. I don't think most teams covet him as a defensive tackle. He has some upside still, so don't forget that. But I have Robert Beal Jr. and Kalia Davis both on the practice squad. Both those guys I think need more work. They're not really ready. But I can see Davis, he's starting to show some signs as to why they wanted to keep him or draft him a couple years ago and haven't cut him outright. after some pretty serious injuries. So if that progresses for the next month or less, I guess, I can see him kind of jumping a player like Jordan Elliott on the roster. But with so much run defense needed, I'm going to give Elliott the leg up on that because I do think that he does provide run defense in a very small upgrade, which he wasn't good last year at all, over Khalid Davis right now at least.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle. Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue, subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
Rob D says, bang, bang, Niner gang in the YouTube comments. Rob D, what's going on, brother? We are not timidly here talking some Niners. We are full force out there busting. That sounded wrong. I'm sorry. Pause. Don't cut that. Don't clip that. That's, wow. It's a Sunday and I'm doing some naughty. We are not using church talk on the show, I guess, but we're here giving my predictions for the San Francisco 49ers 53-man roster. Big Brick 84 says Saleh will have these rookies looking like veterans and ready coming week one. In Saleh we trust. A heck of a lot more than Nick Sorensen, because even Jair Brown was like, yeah, last year wasn't great. That's all I'll say. It was like, we all know what you mean, brother. We all know what you mean out there. But let's keep this train rolling to the linebacker spot. This, to me, is one of the most polarizing positions on the roster, alongside receiver and cornerback. A lot of young guys vying for a roster spot. And there's too many roster spots that, there's too many guys that aren't going to make the roster. This team, is going to keep Fred Warner. They've pretty much already said, which you didn't need them to say if you just listen to me. D. Winter's making the roster, obviously, and has kind of already won the linebacker 2 job next to Fred. So those two guys are locked in. Those guys are safe. Nick Martin's making the roster. He's been good in a way where you see why they wanted to draft him, but bad in a way of like, wow, you need to play more and learn more. He is just this ball of energy, and you're like, calm down. Like we'll get there, but like he's almost like, if I were to describe Nicholas Martin as an animation character, he's like Jack from The Incredibles. He's just changing into every single monster in the book. He's jumping around and he's invisible. He's teleporting, and you're like, oh my God, like this is all great. We love this. We love this for you. The powers are awesome, but let's kind of hone in your power a little bit. But you like what you see. I do think Luke Gifford makes the roster. He's currently taking first-team reps. They brought him in as a primary kind of special team signing during the offseason. And so those are your 4 like starting guys, or your 4 kind of lead dogs in the room. That last spot, the 5th guy, they could keep 6, but I have them keeping 5 currently. I do think there is room for them to bring back 2 or 3 guys on the practice squad. Tatum Bethune I have making the roster, but with the recent activation of Curtis Robinson, I can see that being a path for him. But also I think coming off the injury, I think Curtis Robinson may be more prone for a practice squad role this year, and then hopefully taking a bigger leap next year with the team. So I have it, Fred Warner, D. Winters, Nicholas Martin, Luke Gifford, and Tatum Bethune making the roster. Again, they can keep 6 guys. Right now I have it at 5. But I have Curtis Robinson, Stone Blanton, and Jalen Graham making the practice squad. Graham is the one guy I think may be signed elsewhere. He's that bigger body thumping linebacker in which, they cut him last year. He's not having a great camp. He's never really had a great camp. He's kind of that goal line guy, but just, this is a position where, like offensive line, like receiver, and even defensive line too, like preseason games matter. Those joint practices are going to be so pivotal because you may not show it during, training camp day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But if you flash during practices against the Broncos and games against the Broncos and the Raiders and practices against Las Vegas, that could easily change things. But right now, I have them keeping 3 practice squad linebackers. There's maybe a way where Curtis Robinson goes on injured reserve to begin the year. Not sure how that would work for them. He's not hurt right now, but working his way back, may not be ready. But I am, again, linebacker is so important. The teeth of this defense, the interior of the defensive line, yes, but also the linebacker spot. You love Fred. You love D. Winters. Winters is always hurt. Fred fractured his ankle last year and still played. Who's behind them? That's a really big position battle this year. So I have Martin, Gifford, and Bethune, but those jobs are all up for grabs behind Winters, Martin, and Fred Warner right now at the linebacker spot. Let's see what we have here in the YouTube chat. Let's see. Kawachipto says, more so asking of what's the NASCAR package? The NASCAR package to me is Bosa, CJ West, or Alfred Collins, depending on if he can eat space for you. We'll see how that goes. You have Bosa, Collins, or West. You decide that. Michael slots inside, and Bryce Huff's on the other bookend of the defensive line. I think that's the NASCAR package. It may change, but I do think, I don't even think Jalen Allen's making the roster. I just don't think. He's so small. He's a fast dude, but he's not impressed thus far. Maybe he's a practice squad guy. Maybe he flashes during the games and whatnot, but he just hasn't been assigned. But Kawachipto says here in the YouTube chat, you cannot IR Curtis Robinson. It's a tough place to be, obviously. He's activated now. You're kind of stuck there with him. Which isn't a bad thing per se. You like Curtis Robinson a lot, but I just think that they have a good problem. A lot of guys you hope can make the roster and play well. And maybe Bethune goes to the practice squad. Maybe they keep 6 linebackers. I don't know, but it does seem like that right now, without seeing preseason games or joint practices, Robinson may be a practice squad guy this season after having a really good preseason and training camp last year. Robinson was going to be this team's linebacker 2 or 3. He was going to make Devondre Campbell not play and then got hurt in the last game of the preseason, which sucked, but I digress. Moving along to the cornerback position. Again, there's clear roster makes here, but I do have one maybe surprise. Right now, I have it with Renardo Green, Diamador Lenore, Upton Stout as your starters. I think Stout is going to win that job at nickel to begin the season. Because of that, because I have Stout winning that job, I have Trey Brown and Dallis Flowers as the 2 backup outside cornerbacks, with Brown having nickel back versatility, which leads me to have them either cutting or trading away Darrell Luter Jr. He's getting first-team reps now. They like him, but he's not winning the job. Flowers has looked better. Trey Brown hasn't looked great, but they don't have that backup cornerback. He was signed to a 1-year deal in free agency. They need that backup nickelback. They don't have that currently. Unless you don't mind putting Lenore there or Green there, I don't love that. They've openly said they want those guys playing the outside. And if that's the case, I think Trey Brown makes the roster as a depth piece, as a backup for the outside and nickel. And Dallis Flowers, who's had a really good camp so far, back with Gus Bradley, I think pushes Luter Jr. off of the roster entirely, which leads me to have them keeping and signing or retaining Siren Neal. He has safety and cornerback versatility. He's not great, but the reason he's there is for special teams. They cut Jalen Mahoney, which was one of their special teams guys, which I was surprised they cut him, but here we are. But he can be another safety for the team, but also play cornerback. And also, again, like Trey Brown, was one of their free agent signings. I think I was in Japan when they signed Siren Neal and was like, really? This guy? But they're trying to reshape that special teams unit, and Siren Neal has a ton of experience on special teams, so I think he makes the roster right now over Darrell Luter Jr., but then I had them keeping 2 players on the practice squad at the defensive back position. I had them keeping Jacob Robinson, who has been a surprise of training camp thus far. We knew when they signed him that he has this kind of ball hawk mentality. He has good ball skills. He's an overall good cornerback, but just never, like, he was supposed to go around 6 and 7. Like, they were having conversations of, hey, we're going to draft you here, might draft you here. And he chose to come to San Francisco over the Baltimore Ravens. And I think they're going to reward him for that. He's looked pretty good in camp so far. Like, not just locking down Tariq Owens or Isaiah Hodgins or, Andy Isabella. Like, he has also locked down Jordan Watkins at times too. So I think he makes the practice squad. I think he's looked pretty good. I think they want to reward him for that. He can also play safety too, so there is, again, more versatility there with Jacob Robinson. Then I have Chase Lucas making the roster, or making the practice squad, excuse me. They signed him last year. Again, he kind of that Siren Neal kind of mold of the special teamer that can be a gunner for you. He's not going to be a good cornerback per se, but does give you a practice squad elevation, special teamer depth guy role fit. So, and look, like, there's so many guys vying for that cornerback position. I just think that, like, those first 5, Lenore, Green, Stout, Brown, and Flowers, probably give it the best chance. But Luter Jr., I think, can easily force his way back into that conversation for that number 3 outside cornerback job, but right now at this point in time, I would not give it to him. And I think he's a good candidate to get traded or cut as the season or the off-season training camp sessions progress, because I think some team would value him over San Francisco with their roster being kind of log-jammed right now with so mmany guys vying for a job in front of him. But the safety room, also more interesting, more intriguing to me, because they have some guys out there. Jair Brown's making the roster. Jason Pinnock's making the roster, having a tremendous camp right now, one of the best guys in camp this season. Richie Grant's making the roster. Marquise Siegel's also making the roster. So you have those 4 guys as your safeties. Siren Neal can also play safety. And I don't know what's going to happen with Malik Mustafa, because he could start the year on the PUP list or injured reserve, right? But they keep saying, like, he's making good progress. He hasn't practiced yet, mind you, but, like, he is on the side field at times. He's moving around. Like, he's making progress and going in the right direction with his recovery. But I was unsure as to what they were going to do with him. Maybe if Mustafa is on IR and on PUP or on PUP, maybe that is a route to keep Curtis Robinson, one of the linebackers, on the roster, or keep Darrell Luter Jr., who knows. But I think, without knowing that, I think they walk into the year with 4 safeties, Brown, Pinnock, Grant, and Siegel. Then Mustafa is kind of the wild card. If he's ready by week 1, you activate him. If he's not, though, it may lead room to retain somebody else you otherwise probably wouldn't be able to if you cut him. So,
my cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Maybe 4, potentially 5 safeties in that room. But that kind of wraps things up with, like, the defense and the offense. We'll go over everybody again before we leave, but special teams. Everyone has their eyes on special teams. Who's winning the kicking competition? Because you already know John Weeks is the new long snapper. Thomas Morstead is the new punter. But Sterling, right now, who do you have winning the kicking competition? And it's definitely a projection on my end. it's definitely one that I think, while not shocking, many fans don't want to hear. Because at this point in time, despite his stats, funny enough, being worse, and it not being preseason yet, which will determine this job wholeheartedly. That is the big takeaway, is whatever happens in preseason will determine who wins this job. I have Jake Moody remaining this team's kicker in 2025. And again, maybe it changes if he just is terrible during preseason. But I have Jake Moody, once again, trotting out there for field goals and extra points this season. You may not like that. At times, I hate myself for feeling that way. But here we are. But let's recap everything. Jake Moody, Thomas Morstead, and John Weeks are your three special teamers. Safety is Jair Brown, Jason Pinnock. That's probably your starting two safeties to begin the year, by the way, if Mustafa can't go, with Richie Grant and Marquis Siegel behind them. And then Malik Mustafa being that hovering, will he be active? Will he not be? So 4 or 5 safeties, depending on how things transpire with Mustafa's recovery. Cornerback, I have Lenore, Green, Stout, Brown, Flowers, Siren Neal, with Jacob Robinson and Chase Lucas being your 2 practice squad guys. A linebacker, Fred Warner, D. Winters, Nick Martin, Luke Gifford, Tatum Bethune, with, depending on, again, Mustafa's recovery, Curtis Robinson being a practice squad or making the actual roster. I think he'd be more suited for making the roster over Stone Blanton or Jalen Graham. The other 2 guys I currently have making the practice squad alongside him. So 2 cornerbacks on the practice squad and 3 linebackers, depending on what Mustafa and Robinson and how their roster decisions are done and had. Then the defensive line, Nick Bosa, Alfred Collins, Kevin Givens, Micah Williams, Bryce Huff, CJ West, Evan Anderson, Sam Okawanu, Yasir Gross-Matos, and Jordan Elliott, with Kalia Davis and Robert Beal Jr. as some of the backups on the practice squad. The offensive line, Trent Williams, Ben Barch, Jake Brendel, Dominic Pooney, Colton McKivitz, Spencer Burford, Nick Sikel, Connor Colby, and Austin Pleasance making the roster, with Drew Moss and Matt Hennessy on the practice squad. Tight ends, I have George Kittle, Luke Farrell, and Braden Willis as your 3 tight ends to begin the year, with Mason Pline and Jake Tungis as your practice squad additions. Then you have Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowling, Jordan Watkins, Russell Gage, Junior Burgeon making the roster, with Aiyuk on PUP/IR, and then Demarcus Robinson being suspended to begin the season. Fullback is Kyle Juszczyk, Christian McCaffrey, Isaac Guerendo, Jordan James, and Patrick Taylor Jr. make the roster at running back, with Corey Kiner on the practice squad. Then we already made one change. Brock Purdy and Mac Jones are your quarterbacks to begin the year. Tanner Mordecai gets cut. Maybe he's a practice squad guy, the 3rd emergency quarterback, with Curtis Rourke on the PUP/IR. That's it right there. 53-man roster prediction. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you enjoyed my breaking down of what I think will happen as we enter into and lead into preseason week 1 and joint practices against the Denver Broncos this Friday and Saturday. San Francisco is back at practice tomorrow, Tuesday, a walkthrough on Wednesday, a break on Thursday, or excuse me, is that right? A walkthrough on Wednesday, joint practices on Thursday, an off day on Friday, then a game on Saturday. A lot happening, and you're not going to want to miss it. Come back here tomorrow and throughout the entire week for a breakdown of each and every practice and a breakdown of preseason week 1, Niners Broncos. Less than 1 week away. Can you believe that? Niners football is nearly back. 6 more days. 6 more days and the red and gold are back on our TV screens and back in our hearts and our lives for the next, 5 to 6 months. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be great. Cannot wait to go over it with you guys here on the show. Hopefully you can like, share, and subscribe. And follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X or the Twitter. 49ers Access is the Instagram. Drop your roster predictions down below. Who do you see making the roster? Who do you see not making the roster that I had? Do you think I'm crazy for having certain guys make the roster? Again, drop those predictions down below in the comments. Let me know what you think of my roster predictions down there as well. Do you think Jake Moody gets the kicking job, or is it Greg Joseph's right now? Drop that comment down below. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I want to thank Big Brick 84, Lori Matthews, who says, hopefully Jake's in a better mental state this year because people are going to run him out of town if he starts making kicks, or alcohol consumption's going to be the way at this phase. Don't go well. And Big Brick 84 says here, let's effing go. Can't wait for football to be back. Amen. Right back at you. Thank you, Big Brick 84, Lori Matthews, Rob D, Kawa Chipto, and so many more you hear in the YouTube comments. Let's talk Niners as well. Robbie439, Brandon Holloman, Papa J, and Dang Freaker. Hope you'll have a great rest of your Sunday. Can't wait to get back to you. JD Durham's here as well. Look at late additions to the show. Hope you're having great Sundays. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Don't forget to come right back here tomorrow. Training camp day number 10. Double digits. Breakdown coming your way after practice. Like, share, and subscribe. My name is Sterling Bennett, and as always, until next time, stay faithful.